The uninvited, the high accord chamber floated in the void between stars, a crystalline monument to order. Inside, 17 species sat in judgment. They had done this for 3,000 years. They decided who rose, who fell, who deserved the stars. Today they discussed Earth. Unstable, said the Vela representative, its voice like grinding stone. Their history is written in blood. Wars over resources, over belief, over territory that means nothing. The hologram displayed humanity's record. Nuclear fire, ecological collapse, a dying world clawing for survival. They burned their own nest, hissed the Kryn diplomat, mandibles clicking. And now they look to the stars? No, let them suffocate in silence, 17 voices agreed. The decision was unanimous, as it always was. Earth would remain quarantined. Humanity would die in its cradle, alone and forgotten. The galaxy would continue without them. The meeting ended. But the galaxy had made a mistake. It assumed humanity would obey. Far beyond the borders of approved space, in a sector marked only as Restricted Zone 47 Alpha, a human ship drifted through the dark. The Revenant looked like scrap metal held together by spite. Scorched hull plating, makeshift armor welded over battle scars, engines that shouldn't run but did anyway. It was ugly, brutal, and it had been here for 6 months, doing exactly what the Council forbade. Commander Elias Cade stood on the bridge, arms crossed, watching the salvage operation through the viewport. His face was a map of old wars, burned scars along his jaw, a prosthetic eye that glowed faintly in the dim light. He'd fought in the water wars, survived the Beijing siege, watched Earth's governments collapse while the skies turned black with ash. He didn't trust diplomats, didn't believe in waiting for permission. Status, he said. Cutting through the last bulkhead now, replied Chen, the ship's engineer. She was elbow deep in an alien panel, sparks flying. This wreck's got tech we've never seen. Propulsion systems that fold space without tearing it apart. Power cores that don't irradiate everything within a kilometer. Cade nodded. The wreck was a Voran dreadnought, dead for 20 years but still full of secrets. The Council had abandoned it here, too arrogant to salvage their own relics. They thought no one would dare enter restricted space. They were wrong. How long until we extract the core? Cade asked. 3 hours, maybe 4. You have 2. Chen shot him a look but didn't argue. She knew the rules. In and out, no traces, no witnesses. Humanity didn't have the luxury of time. In the cargo bay, soldiers loaded crates of stolen technology, weapons, shields, navigation systems. Every piece stripped from wrecks the Council left behind. Earth's engineers would reverse engineer it all, learn, adapt, build something new. Humanity's greatest strength had never been diplomacy. It was survival, desperation, the ability to take what shouldn't work and make it deadly. Commander, said Voss, the tactical officer. He was younger than Cade, but his eyes were just as hard. We've got a problem. Cade turned. Long-range sensors just picked up a ping. High Accord patrol inbound. 30 minutes, the bridge went silent. 30 minutes. Not enough time to finish the salvage. Not enough time to run. Do they know we're here? Cade asked. Not yet, but they will. Cade stared at the wreck outside, at the technology humanity needed, at the choice he'd made 100 times before. Stay and risk everything. Or retreat and stay weak, he smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Then let's make sure they remember us. The patrol ship arrived 28 minutes later. It was sleek, elegant, built by a species that had ruled the stars for millennia. Its captain was Yalrus, a Vela officer who had patrolled this sector for 40 cycles without incident. He expected rust, dead ships, silence. He did not expect humans. Unknown vessel, Yalrus broadcast, his translator smooth and cold. You are in violation of High Accord territory. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. The human ship didn't respond. Yalrus frowned. I repeat, power down immediately or we will open fire. Static. Then a voice. Negative. It was calm, almost amused. Yalrus leaned forward. You do not have the authority to refuse. Surrender now or... Let me explain something. The voice interrupted. You've spent 3,000 years deciding who gets to play in your sandbox. Who's worthy? Who's not? And you decided we weren't. Yalrus's mandibles twitched. Earth is quarantined for what we didn't ask for your approval. The line went dead, and then the Revenant opened fire. The galaxy had believed in order, in rules, in control, in the idea that civilizations could be managed, guided, and shaped into something acceptable. But humanity had learned a different lesson. You don't survive by asking permission. You survive by taking what you need. And when the strong tell you to stay down, you remind them that the weak don't always stay that way. The Vela patrol ship burned in the void. Inside the Revenant, Cade watched the debris scatter. His crew was silent. They'd just declared war on the galaxy and they all knew it. Set course for home, Cade said quietly, and tell engineering to work faster. We're going to need those ships because the Council would come. And when they did, humanity would be ready, not with diplomacy, not with peace, but with fire. End of Part 1. The response. The emergency session of the High Accord was called within hours. 17 species materialized in the crystal chamber, but this time the atmosphere was different. No calm deliberation, no measured debate. The air crackled with something the Council rarely felt. Fear. A patrol ship, the Vela Commandant said, his voice tight. Destroyed completely in restricted space. The hologram showed the wreckage. Twisted metal. Scorched debris. A ship that had served for 2 decades, gone in minutes. By whom? Demanded the Kryn matriarch. Humans. Silence. Then chaos. Impossible, hissed one delegate. They lack the technology. The capability. They're quarantined. Clearly, the Commandant said coldly, they are not. The hologram shifted, showed grainy footage from the patrol ship's final moments. A human vessel, crude, ugly, wrong, opening fire with weapons that shouldn't exist. Shields that absorbed Vela plasma fire. Engines that moved too fast. Where did they get this? Someone whispered. The Commandant's expression darkened. They stole it. From our wrecks. From abandoned sites across restricted zones. Intelligence reports indicate they've been operating in our space for months. Salvaging, learning, building. While we did nothing. The accusation hung in the air. The Kryn matriarch leaned forward. Mandibles clicking rapidly. Then we crush them. Now. Before they become a real threat. Deploy the Third Fleet, glass their homeworld. Make an example that lasts 1,000 years. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. But the Voran Archon, oldest of the Council, raised a clawed hand. His species had ruled the stars longest, had seen empires rise and fall. You misunderstand the problem, he said quietly. The chamber stilled. This is not about one ship, one crew, one act of defiance. His eyes, 3 of them, fixed on the assembly. This is about what humans are. They did not evolve for the stars. They evolved for survival. Their world tried to kill them for millennia, and they refused to die. Their own species tried to destroy itself, and still they endured. He gestured at the hologram. They do not think like us. They do not wait. They do not ask. They adapt. They learn, and they do not forgive. So what do you suggest? The matriarch snapped. That we negotiate? Offer them a seat at this table? No, the Archon's voice was ice. I suggest we recognize what we've created. We quarantined a predator species, gave them nothing but time, desperation, and a reason to hate us, and now they've armed themselves with our own technology. He paused. If we send a fleet, they will learn from it. If we destroy their world, the survivors will scatter and hunt us across the stars. There is no easy answer here. Then what do? The Archon stared at the wreckage on the hologram. We show them why the galaxy still belongs to us. Back on Earth, in a military facility buried 3 kilometers beneath the Australian outback, Elias Cade stood before a war council. The room was packed. Generals, scientists, engineers, politicians who'd survived the collapse. Every face worn by loss, hardened by necessity. You attacked a council patrol, said General Nairobi, her tone flat. That's an act of war. It was self-defense, Cade replied evenly. They'll see it as an act of war. Good. The room erupted in argument. Voices overlapping. Some demanded Cade's arrest. Others called him a hero. But Nairobi silenced them all with a raised hand. Commander, she said carefully, we're not ready for this fight. We have 12 operational ships. They have thousands. Our population is 8 billion and falling. Theirs is measured in trillions. Cade didn't flinch. Then we'd better work faster. You're asking us to go all in on a war we can't win. No. Cade stepped forward, his prosthetic eye glowing in the dim light. I'm asking you to stop pretending we have a choice. The council decided we don't deserve the stars. They quarantined us to die, and now that we've proven we won't, they'll come to finish the job. He looked around the room, at the faces of people who'd lost everything, who'd survived when survival seemed impossible. We didn't start this, Cade said, but we're going to end it. Not by asking permission, not by begging for mercy, but by doing what we've always done. And what's that? Nairobi asked. Cade smiled grimly. Whatever it takes. In orbit above Earth, construction had already begun. Massive shipyards built in secret over the past 5 years now roared to life. Salvage technology merged with human ingenuity. Alien shields retrofitted onto human hulls. Weapon systems reverse-engineered and improved. Dr. Sarah Okafor stood in the observation deck of Shipyard Epsilon, watching the work below. She'd been a xenotechnology specialist before the collapse. Now she was humanity's best hope of closing the gap. How long? Asked Chen, who'd arrived from the Revenant hours earlier. For the first wave? 3 months. Maybe 4. Cade says we have 6 weeks. Okafor laughed bitterly. Cade says a lot of things. Can you do it? Okafor watched as a new ship took shape below. It was massive, brutal. Every line designed for one purpose. War. We've spent our entire history building better ways to kill each other, she said quietly. We're very good at it. She turned to Chen. Yes, we can do it. 6 weeks later, the High Accord's Third Fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. 50 warships. Enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Enough force to obliterate any resistance. Admiral Corvus, a veteran of a dozen campaigns, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He'd fought pirates, rebels, insurgencies, but never a quarantined species, broadcast. The ultimatum, he ordered. The message went out on all frequencies. People of Earth, you have violated the laws of the High Accord. You have attacked our forces. You have stolen our technology. Surrender immediately or your world will burn. Corvus waited for the response. Expected panic. Pleas for mercy, what he got was laughter. Negative, said a human voice, calm, almost cheerful. Corvus recognized it. The same voice from the patrol ship incident, Commander Cade. You want Earth? Cade said. Come and take it. And then, from behind the moon, humanity's new fleet emerged. They were not elegant. They were not beautiful. They were ships built by a species that had clawed its way up from the dirt. Armored in stolen plating. Armed with weapons that shouldn't work. Crewed by soldiers who'd survived the end of their world. 30 human warships against 50. Council vessels. Corvus stared at the display. They can't be serious, but they were. The human fleet didn't wait for orders, didn't request terms, didn't hesitate, they attacked. And the council learned something that approval is a privilege, that permission is a courtesy. That humanity had spent 10,000 years surviving without either. The Battle of Luna had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. End of Part 2.